Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart. Comp is again the talk of the town for Warhammer the Old World, and I've talked about it before on the channel rather loosely. Let's do it again.
Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems and offer custom items to suit your club, your event or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description.
If you watch Warhammer the Old World content on YouTube, and you are now, you'll probably be aware that comp is back as a trending topic. And even if you don't watch YouTube normally and happen to find yourself here for whatever reason, maybe you're in the Facebook groups or the Discords or any of the other places online that you can talk about comp, and you'll probably find there's a little bit of an uptick in the conversation around that topic at the moment. So why is comp back in discussion for Old World news again? You could probably argue it's not really gone away, but the Square-based YouTube channel, and if you're watching this, I find it hard to believe that you're not aware of them at the very, very least, have decided to put out their own comp version, or at least they're just about to announce it, and they had a video when they went through it in great detail. And this video is not going to be breaking that comp down. I may touch on little examples of it, but I'm not really going to go into it in any great detail. Why are we talking about it? The game is still relatively young. We've not hit 2 years yet, and we've very recently had a 1.5 FAQ, which has really changed the game. And we've had a match play guide as well. And in many ways, you could have hoped or thought that it would have settled down a little bit while people got used to that. However, I think the Cathay Army release and the perceived unbalance, and I believe it's pretty clear that Cathay are very, very powerful at the moment, far more powerful than I thought they would be. Again, I'm not a competitive player very often, so why would you take my advice on a subject like that? However, I think the pushback from the competitive side of the scene has been there a big problem, and that's probably brought to fore a lot of the conversations around how do we balance the game, do we need to balance the game, and what do we do? So what is comp? I'm chatting away about comp here, and I'm suddenly aware there may be people watching this video that haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, especially if you're new to Warhammer the Old World and haven't played previous editions of Warhammer. Essentially what comp is a set of rules or restrictions as a way to try and balance the game a little bit more for competitive and match play. Now this could be a big pack that gets used at a big event and becomes very popular and spreads all around the world and used at different events. Sometimes it's just something minor that's used by a particular event, and it can vary from place to place. Maybe you will run it in your local club, maybe you won't, maybe you'll play in a different way. But essentially it's some adjustments to the rules that Games Workshop put out where the community decides that that isn't quite balanced enough for the way they want to play the game. So why am I talking about it? I'm a self-confessed narrative nerd. I love to paint on my channel more than I do talk about meta and competitive play. I very rarely play in competitive events. When I do, I tend to sign up for things like the Throne of Skulls, where painting and sports are equal weighting. I go for the fun more than being competitive. I've got nothing against competitive play either. I'm just not wired that way. My mind doesn't work that way. I don't perform very well at those kind of things, nor do I have any massive desire to go and win events by winning games. I just want to have a really good time and be absorbed in the world of Warhammer. One of the reasons I'm talking about it is because I find the whole community interested. I'm not just stuck in the little narrative painting corner that I spend most of my time in. I like to look at the community as a whole and see how the health of the game is as a whole. Another reason I'm interested in it, because I'm interested in competitive play. I might not play it, but I actually enjoy following it. Right back in the days of listening to podcasts in 7th and 8th edition for Bad Dice and Podhammer and Healing Hammer, I listened to tournament reports and the talks about the tournament scenes. I used to follow the ETC on YouTube and watch Team England, and I've recently seen the YouTube and all the coverage for Dowie and the other contributors to the WTC win for England as well. I find it really interesting. It might not be the kind of Warhammer that I'm good enough or really, really want to play, but I am interested in following it as well. But I'm also interested in the way competitive play has an effect on casual play, because I think it does, definitely does with your club games. If you go to a large enough club where there's a big group of players there, many of them going off to events, their army list builds and the way they like to play will quite often reflect the tournaments that they go to. And that often means that people that never intend to go to a tournament or don't really have an awful lot of interest going to a tournament will tend to build their armies in that way. They'll go online and they'll look for particular builds. And then also just the people who like to win. We all like to win at games. We've seen that through the years. Whether you've played Monopoly at home with your family, you'll know there's always someone that can be a bad loser or just someone who really enjoys the winning side of things as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. So again, players that don't go to events, might only play in their garage with 2 or 3 friends, still like to take a competitive list to try and win the game. And they will look further afield at the examples for the competitive players and the best players and the way they're playing the game. And the leaders in that community, so people like Rob and Val at Square Based, they will have an effect on the way people play the game as well. Now, if you're a super narrative gamer and you don't care at all about points matching your games, and you like to tell stories, you're probably not going to worry too much about what goes on in the competitive scene or comp at all. Any of the problems in the game of unbalance you're likely to work out with your opponent before a game. I'm not going to take 3 dragons today because I know that you're not going to be able to deal with them. I'm not going to take 5 balloons or X amount of screams or whatever it happens to be. You will arrange that beforehand. You'll have a conversation with your opponent. There are many different flavors of comp and they all do different kinds of things. I can give you a couple of examples, but I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on them. The aforementioned square-based comp is fairly wide-ranging in that it affects most armies in the games. They're broken into 4 tiers and the lower 3 tiers are getting points boosts and the bottom tier are a massive extra 600 points in order to try and balance them against the higher performing armies at the top. Another way of comping is just to restrict some of the most powerful things and sometimes even outright ban certain units or characters or builds. And like anything in life, there's positives and negatives to everything. If you're banning the most powerful things, maybe the games will be a little bit more balanced and a little bit more fun overall, but it does stop someone playing a miniature that they really liked. Maybe it's an army theme that they've built and they really love it and they can't because it's a little bit too powerful or perceived to be too powerful by the community and it gets stopped. With something like the square-based comp, it doesn't really restrict anything and that could be a negative as well. It doesn't deal with any of the big problems at the top. It just gives some of the lower performing armies a bit of a boost to hope that they would deal with it. And there's loads of potential knock-on effects from that. It might mean that the top players that with the uncomped or no extra point armies will only go for the toughest builds, thus increasing the problem will make it even worse, and maybe it'll end up creating new monsters by giving too many points to armies that didn't need it. And Rob and Val have been very open and said that's what might happen. We're trying this. Now, I don't know what the answer is. I don't hang around with competitive players playing competitive games all the time. I'm certainly not going to loads of competitive events. Yes, I've noted that I keep a bit of an eye on what's going on out of a personal interest, but it's definitely not enough to be writing my own comp packs and telling you the way it should work, and nor should I be doing that either. I don't think it's overreach to say that there's definitely no perfect system. Whatever changes are made will have a knock-on effect to something else. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try things either, and that's mostly why I've decided to make this short video. It is perhaps unsurprising that topics like this often result in an emotional reaction online, and I've been producing content in many forms for a number of years now, and I definitely understand what the comment sections can be like. But the sky isn't falling, the square-based comp isn't going to break the game of Warhammer the Old World. Neither's Aussie Comp 3.0 or whatever version we're at now, and I think that's just been released as well. Go and hunt these out, read them. They are just gamers, they are just members of the community who genuinely care about the game, putting out what they see as a solution. It may be the solution, it may not be, but he's not going to break the game for you. Back during the 7th and 8th edition, there were many different comp sets around, and I don't feel it broke the community about then. I don't think it fractured the community about then. People got used to playing certain comps at certain events, and the most popular ones were often used in casual play as well. But I never have the overriding sense that one of them dominated to a point that the community was completely split on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure some of you will. And I don't think we'll see that here either. We have the square-based comp. I don't think it will be universally adopted at all. And we have the new Aussie comp, and there'll be many others around at the moment. And I think that's actually positive. I think the more smaller comp with minor changes that we see at different events is actually healthy. It means something doesn't become dominant and there's lots of different variation. So players can choose which comps they like and only attend the events that are running the comps that they like. There is one minor note of caution or concern that if we ended up with one comp to rule them all, and it wasn't written by Games Workshop, and we ended up with half the community liking the uncomped Games Workshop way, and let's face it, they do have their own minor comp with the match play guide versus something else. But I really don't think we're going to see that. We saw the square-based comp came out and the Aussie comp a few days after, and there will be lots others. I'm just using those as a couple of examples. I don't think we're going to be in a place where the community is fighting over two versions of the game. It's just not happened before. There'll be events that choose a certain way of playing and other events that choose a different way of playing. And I'm not too worried about it at this stage. I reserve the right to be wrong and come back and make another video in 6 months' time saying one or other comps has ruined the game. We need to stop it now. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. So if you are a little bit concerned about it, and you're allowed not to like the comp packs that are presented, you're allowed to say in a constructive way that you don't like them either and suggest a way to change them. But don't be too worried. I don't think they're going to dominate the game. They might feel like that at times because of the online space tends to be dominated by a number of voices, but that isn't the game as a whole. The game is an awful lot larger. One of the reasons the game is the way it is because Games Workshop quite deliberately do not write it as a competitive game. Yes, they provide a match play guide, but it doesn't mean they've designed it to be purely a competitive game. It's just something there to aid players who like to play that way. It's designed to cover all kinds of gaming, be that narrative, just casual or matched play. And that's why no one's ever 100% happy with anything they do, because they're covering and catering for different groups. I think there's plenty of room for everyone to play Warhammer the way they like. Find your people, find your groups. And I know that's easy to say. Not everyone has a large playing group with them. And if their group is playing in a particular way, it can be frustrating. So it's not a fix-all thing. But on the whole, I think there are enough people playing Warhammer in different ways out there that you can find the kind of game you want to play. And none of the people advocating a different kind of Warhammer than the way you like to play are doing it to annoy you. They're doing it because they love the game as well, just maybe love it in a slightly different way than you do. But that's it. Go off and enjoy Warhammer the way you like to and play nicely. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'm happy to have deep conversations about what comp's better and things. Just do it in a nice way. I find the whole topic really, really interesting. And if you have enjoyed the video, please do that. Give it a like as well. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And please do check out all the links in my video description. Lots of ways to support me, including my Patreon. I now have an affiliate link for the official Warhammer merch store as well. So if you're looking at gifts and things for people at Christmas, or you want your other half to buy you a gift at Christmas, give them that link and tell them what you want, because any little kickback helps me as well. Check out the channel sponsor Counterattack Bases for all your Warhammer the Old World and other game system gaming age. Loads and loads of stuff to check out on there. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.